Now, when you take a look at Unreal Engine 3 and you compare that to Unreal Engine 4, it's really incomparable. Because Unreal Engine 4 is all about being photoreal. This relentless pursuit for photorealism. Several factors, several characteristics make the next generation game content look so distinguished relative to the previous generation. The first thing that you'll see is that all of the rendering is physically based, meaning that we're capturing the microstructures of the materials and how it responds to light physics. And so as a result, you could almost feel the material physics, the material properties of everything in the scene. The second thing is the advanced lighting systems. It's no longer just the unidirectional light. Light is coming from all over. It's as close to global illumination as we've ever come in real time. It also includes physics simulations so that the world comes to life. And to make it all possible requires this new technology called multiple render targets, really rendering simultaneously into a whole lot of different buffers at the same time, and then doing screen space computations to resolve the final scene. The result is a photorealistic and a stunning looking image. Next generation gaming is really going to be a big deal. This is the kind of imagery we like to create on Tegra. And so let's show you what that means. Now, very few people, very few computer graphics company would ever lead with a human face as a demonstration. And the reason for that is because the human face is so hard. We know what a human face looks like. Now, if I were to put a monster up here, everybody would say, wow, that's a good-looking monster, and because we've never seen a monster before. So long as it's bright and shiny and looks really upset, I think everybody would be rather satisfied by it. Well, this particular face is being rendered in real time, and it's not a photograph. Lucas, let's show them what Ari can do. Now, let me explain some of the technology behind it. So first of all, in order to capture the human face, our skin is a living thing. Light penetrates through our outer layers, goes into the skin, bounces around inside, and then scatters, and then comes out, picking up some of the tone of the color of your blood. And as a result, when you look at them, it looks alive. Of course, there's a lot of pores. Your eyes are the windows to the soul, and so obviously the eyes have to look alive. In this particular case, we use a technology called ray tracing to ray trace the eyes. That's why the eye crystal looks like it's alive. And of course, all of the shadows are being rendered so beautifully. You see no triangles, no faceting whatsoever. Triangles have disappeared. The lighting system is so sophisticated we can pick up the little sheen of the oil of his face. Now let's change, I love the soft shadows underneath the lips. I mean, it's so exquisitely rendered. Photorealistic. Okay, let's Lucas, walk us through some of this stuff. You do some talking here. Let me spare a few seconds.
Sure, so yeah, this is Digital IRA, and it's a data set from our friends at USC. And if you guys have been watching previous time, we've actually seen that we've shown it on a GTX Titan, the same data set. So it's pretty cool this works on a K1. Yeah, and as Jen-Hsun said, there's subsurface scattering in the light going through the ears, also the light from as the shadow lands behind his nose. You can see if you turn it off, you can just see that like his skin just kind of looks like plaster or something. It doesn't have the right effect, and so that's something that's it's quite computationally expensive, and something that using Tegra K1 is possible on mobile finally.
Now change the lighting environment. This isn't just lighting, this is image-based lighting. And look how the light is shining through his ears.
Yeah.
You get some rim lighting off the edge of his head. And let's change the lighting yet again. That's just really stunning. If he was just more attractive. I could sit here and look at them all night. Okay, so this is a face only a mother or a computer graphics company could love. Ira is actually his real name. He's a very good friend, and I apologize for that funny comment. Okay, so, but show us now what it's like if we didn't have all of the photoreal capabilities that that Tegra offers, Tegra K1 offers.
Sure.
So this is what a face would look like using today's computer graphics. And notice it's a convincing head. I mean, when you look at it, you go, that's a head. There's no question that's human, but there's no question also it's computer graphics. And this is basically OpenGL ES 3.0. Okay? All right, that's fantastic. Let's show them something else. Let's show them something else. All right, so this is, we want to do something that is a big world, and this is something that Lucas did. Lucas, why don't you talk us through it, and I'll ask you some questions along the way.
Sure. So yeah, it's a big superstructure actually, as opposed to just a head, and it has a lot of interesting features that are cool. We have pretty rich metallic materials. We have HDR lighting and tone mapping, cinematic effects with lens flares, bloom.
Now show them what global illumination and HDR means.
Sure.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
So do you guys know what HDR means? High dynamic range. Your eyes could see much, much larger dynamic range than a computer monitor's 16 bits per pixel can render. Okay? And so the way that we solve this problem, is we render to a much larger dynamic range inside the graphics processor. Okay? Then we do essentially a tone map, a histogram of all of the tones in the scene. And we figure out where the tones are, and we remap that tone into a smaller color space. And as a result, we retain the large distributions of the large contrasts. The deep darks and the bright whites are retained, but we remap, if you will, the rest of the dynamic range to fit back into that of a computer monitor.
Yeah, and you can see that as you go down. So like behind this building, as you see it's pretty dark, right? But then as you zoom in and you cover up, the sky, which is very bright, you start to see more detail that's in the previous dark area, like when your eyes adapt, to the brightness of the scene. But then as you go up and you expose more of the sun, you'll see that it also, it adjusts to allow you to see the sky, which, relative to the back of the building is very bright. Yeah.
Did you show us what global illumination and HDR turned off would look like?
Yeah, definitely. So sort of rendering this with what it looks like using OpenGL ES 3.
So this looks like a computer graphics game today?
Yeah, I mean.
Right?
Yeah.
Not with this many geometry. I mean, this is still rich with polygons, but without global illumination, without high dynamic range, this is what your games would look like. And let's turn it back on. It's almost unbearable to watch. Okay, so that's special effects, but the world is not always so peaceful, right? I mean, sometimes there's astronomical events.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you know what? S could happen, right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So we have a pretty cool bullet time effect here, where you can sort of pan around and see all the volumetric. Explosions, particles, debris. We're using compute shaders to compute the movement of things and the particle effects that happen.
And so what's happening here is that Lucas is using the Tegra K1's 192 parallel cores to do physics processing. This is the same physics processing that supercomputers use for fluid dynamics, for nanomolecular dynamics, for particle simulations, for astrophysics. It's exactly the same architecture, exactly the same type of program. Now it's running on 192 cores on the Tegra K1. Okay, all right. You could play by yourself on the side there. Let's keep moving. Okay, so that's I think Lucas calls that demo the meteor. Yes. All right, give him a round of applause. Global illumination, high dynamic range, incredible amounts of geometry, and now physics processing, all being done on the Tegra K1. Now, I want to show you a few more examples of the power of next generation graphics. This is what a state-of-the-art mobile application, mobile game looks today. In fact, this is a game that's featured on Tegra 4, and it's on Tegra Zone. It's a fantastic game, and they're doing incredibly well. However, this is what last generation graphics looks like. Let's show them what next generation graphics look like. Now let's just kind of take this in a little bit. This particular image, notice the trash can? You see no triangles whatsoever. All the faceting is gone. The detail is so exquisite that when the light shines on it, it looks perfectly smooth. All the shadows are soft. It seems like light is coming from all over. It's being lit. The scene is being lit in darkness. There isn't one particular light that's showing up somewhere, but light is bouncing all over the walls using this technology called global illumination, where everything in the scene is a light source. Everything in the scene is a light source, and it helps create the subtle mood that you see in these dark environments. Notice the volumetric fog that's starting to roll in. And just the texture quality is just so incredible. But, you know, this looks like a photograph. Andrew, why don't you take us around here?
Sure thing, Jensen.
Why don't you take us around and talk us about some of this?
Okay, so this, you mentioned before Unreal 4. This is Unreal 4 running on Tegra K1. So this is a demo.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Unreal Engine 4 running on Tegra K1.
Yeah, so this is a wonderful demo that Epic put together to show off some of the features of their engine. As you mentioned, the art quality is second to none. The textures are amazing, and also lots of little effects. As we go around, I'll point some of them out.
Look at the water dripping off the wall.
Yeah, up here.
The lens flare. You look at the sun, high dynamic range.
Yeah.
Look how bright the brights are and how dark the darks are. Okay, imagine a camera doing this. Really hard time with a camera doing this. Now it's computer graphics doing this.
So as you mentioned before, this is trying to simulate exactly what your eye sees. And indeed, they have a feature called pupil adaptation, where they calculate the luminance in the scene. And just like you would if you went from a bright environment into a dark environment, if you were outside and ran into a room, your pupil takes a little while to sort of adapt to that. They've built that into this engine as well. Gives wonderful effects. They've got lots of nice reflective surfaces as well. So over here we have like a mirror, we have tiles, the trash can over here is reflecting the rest of the room.
Now that trash
us.
can obviously looks so real because it's somehow simulated in a physically based ways, so that when light bounces off of it, you could almost feel the steel that it's made of.
Absolutely, and you can see the water dripping down in the back there. And as we come along here, there's a more sort of plastic posters, reflections again off the tiles. The quality of the textures is unbelievable.
This is real-time computer graphics, ladies and gentlemen, on a little mobile chip.
Yeah, it's tiny. And you mentioned before bumpy shiny. You always have to have something shiny. So this is a nice shiny pipe, whereas everything else in the scene is quite rusty, and somehow this has managed to stay shiny. The final feature I'll mention just briefly, you see here there's a light sparking, and they do some very clever things with particle effects, and they actually put physics on the particle effects so that the sparks don't just fly through the wall and through all the objects in the scene. They actually bounce off the wall, and then you can see them pulling.
And they're actually lighting the environment.
And they are lighting, yeah. So there's
right?
a light kicking out, and also the effects come down and then bounce around a little bit, give a nice
So
effect.
they all become light sources, and they cast shadows, and you can just
Absolutely.
see it. It's fantastic. It's just absolutely exquisite. Now, these little tiny details is what increases the production value of games. And we see this with movies today. there are so many things that they do, the attention to detail, that they obviously don't have to do. They obviously don't have to do. But they do it because they want to create something that is exquisite. And you can just tell now, the engine makes it possible for them to do that. Okay, that's fantastic. Let's take a look at a couple of things. This is another scene of the state-of-the-art in mobile graphics today. And in fact, I think this is a game on iOS. What we want to do is we want to show you, you could just tell this is a cartoon. It's lifeless, it's kind of dead. You recognize the objects, but for some reason, it just doesn't tell you that it's alive. Now, what is the missing part that goes from this to reality? One of them, of course, is the way that the lighting behaves. We know that light doesn't work like this, that there are just subtle shadows and the reflections and the way that light is occluded in the corners and those type of effects our eyes are looking for, and when we don't see it, we know that it's not real. And so let's take it to the next demo. This is also running on Unreal Engine 4, and here we'd like to show you a couple of things. This is not a photograph. This is not a photograph. We're in Vegas, so this is Frank Sinatra music. Okay. Now you can almost feel this room coming alive. Now what you're looking at is two very important technologies. One of them is physically based rendering. Now if that couch doesn't look soft, it almost looks like you could sit on it. I can almost imagine finding some quarters underneath it. Look how beautiful that is. The lighting of it is just incredibly exquisite. And then we're going to show you the second technology is global illumination. If you look at all the lighting around, everything is a light source. So light is bouncing around the environment, and as a result, it's casting more than one shadow, and you're seeing soft shadows everywhere. And look at that wood floor. Wow. Does that look like wood floor? Unreal Engine 4 running on Tegra K1. That's fantastic. Good job, Matt. Okay, so now let's take a look at all this stuff in a game. Okay, so this is an Unreal Engine game. This is Trine 2. This runs on a high-end PC today. It runs on a high-end game console today. And look, well, Andrew, you're the master of this game. Tell us about it.
Hi, hello again. So this is by a company called Frozenbyte. It's a custom game they've made. This is a first for mobile. It's a really fun game. It's kind of like a platformer, 2.5D. But the cool thing is you have 3 characters. So you can have your warrior guy. You can switch to have a wizard. And he can
now remember, this is a mobile device that's been blown up to the size of a theater. Okay?
Absolutely.
This is a mobile device that's been blown up to the size of a theater. Look at the exquisite detail.
They've used Nvidia physics actually in this. So you interact, and a lot of the puzzles are based on physics, and you have to sort of figure out different ways, and we'll see that just up here. So if I run inside now, past the beautiful sort of Egyptian statues. So here we have a puzzle. This one's fairly straightforward, and I have played it a couple times. So you can choose which character you want. So I can try and reflect this beam. And you note the way the lighting follows the beam around. Like this. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's hot.
Yeah. So I think I'm actually going to use the wizard here, and I'm going to grab this box and hit the special key, and I should be able to open the door. There we go.
Now, while he's doing that, look at how the lighting is changing the environment. Yeah. Everything's all lit so beautifully. Yeah, it's all dynamic lighting.
It's a beautiful game. The artwork in this is just exquisite. Ow.
Now, please hurry. Please hurry.
Please hurry. Okay. Oh, hang on.
Don't die. Don't die.
Okay. Oh, hang on. Oh, there we go.
Whoa.
There we go. Okay.
Now, all of this behavior is happening with physics simulation. So you could just see how heavy that rock was. You could feel it.
So now we're down in a crypt, and uh-oh. And here comes a bad guy. And there we go.
Okay, fantastic. Good job.